It was a scramble day, right? Because you start at noon and it's Arch Manning and it's like, okay, strap in because this is the game of the week. I'm approaching this through my Cleveland Browns goggles as well. I'm like, this is the quarterback of the week. This is the guy that has been the number one overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft in any and every mock draft that you read thus far. Like Field Yates at ESPN had him number one, whether it was to the Browns, whether it was to the Saints, whoever's got the number one pick, Arch Manning was the guy. Then he goes out there and kind of lays his egg against Ohio State, and then it's like, okay, let's turn on this Bama game. That Ty Simpson kid is not it. And I know Bill Bender said too, like, Kalen DeBoer has got some big questions to answer. Like, it's trouble in Alabama. And then the night game was like, okay, this is where you're going to get a clash of quarterbacks.
Right.
That could be right in the Browns' wheelhouse, even if they don't have the number one overall pick with Nussmeier versus Klubnik. Bill said it best. Nussmeier shined in that game, at least a lot brighter than Cade Klubnik did. But there were moments in that game where both of those guys just looked like dudes. And I'm not sure about this quarterback class that everybody spent all of the last 6 months telling me was going to be a lot better than this quarterback class that was supposed to be headlined by Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Unfortunate news for the Browns is you don't get to play this game forever. You don't get to continue to kick the can down the road. You did that this year, and you did that this year, and you still drafted 2 QBs in a class that you told everybody you didn't like any of the QBs, and you thought this was a bad draft class. So for the Browns,
in their defense,
they don't get to have the Bill Bender excuse of saying that this might be a good class for an offensive lineman from Florida, or look at these Clemson defensive tackles. Oh, no. You've punted on quarterback plenty enough. You've got to find your own guy. Otherwise, why'd you sign Miles to the extension?
And why spend, after trading down a couple of spots, your 5th overall pick on a defensive tackle? You can't go to the defensive tackle well again next year. You already went there this year. You got other things you got to address. But Jimmy Haslam is racking up the private jet frequent flyer miles, flying all over the country in search of his next quarterback. Because, the one guy I want, picking the Browns' next quarterback, it's Jimmy Haslam. He's the guy that gave you Johnny Manziel. He's the guy that gave you Deshaun Watson. That's the guy you want picking the next quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Not really. Like, with all due respect to Jimmy, and I realize it's his family's team. They own it. They are free to do with it as they wish. I just want him having nothing to do with the quarterback process, because his process of evaluating quarterbacks is beyond flawed.
Well, his
Jerry Jones in the 1990s, you are not. Jerry Jones went from 1-15 to with multiple Vince Lombardi trophies in the span of 8 years. You know where you went? You went from 1-15, no, check that, 1-31 to you're back to 3-14. That's where you went. Okay?
And that
you're not Jerry Jones. You're not going out and finding the next Troy Aikman. I trust you not.
And that 1-31, Daryl, that netted you Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield, this regime couldn't chase out of the building fast enough. They couldn't get him up out of here fast enough. And that's
you had
what
to
this
back up the Brinks truck to buy Myles Garrett's loyalty to get him to shut up about how you suck. That's where you were at this year.
Like, again,
at least Jerry Jones went from 1-15 to winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. You went, over that same 8-year span, you went from 1-15, 0-16, 1-31 combined, to back to 3-14 with no franchise quarterback.
And 1 playoff win to show for it. In the COVID pandemic with no fans in the stands.
In front of fans and friends and family.
It's disgusting where they're at. And they don't have the luxury.
And your season is sunk this year because you don't have a quarterback. And you're taking flyers on these kids. I'm sitting there ripping Dylan Gabriel new one because you're giving him first-round pick reps in off-season practice, minicamp practice, training camp practice. He's a third-round pick. Under no circumstances should the third-round pick be taking first-team reps in a training camp. So I'm evaluating him like he's going to start games this year, because guess what? He is going to start games this year. And he's terrible in practice. Now, the preseason played well. I don't look, my take on that doesn't look so great. Played well in the preseason. Give him his credit. But in practice, looks terrible. Not a practice quarterback. Great 7-on-7 quarterback. Put a defensive line in front of him in practice, can't do squat. Can't hit open receivers, can't be on target. Again, preseason, look good against guys that are probably bagging groceries right now. Okay?
I could already see how this is going to play out, dude.
But this is what you've done organizationally. You're all in. Oh, okay, we're going to ride Joe, the morning show. Ken and Anthony. I heard him talking about, and bemoaning, what's the plan? What's the plan at quarterback? What is your plan?
Zagura told him that there's a world where Flacco plays all 17 games.
Well, yeah, if Flacco's healthy, he plays like he did for those 5 final weeks in the regular season in 2023, sure. And if pigs fly too, I have no
bacon in the sky.
Yeah, I have no expectation Joe Flacco's going to do that for you. And again, I'm just trying to be. I'm not hating on Joe. I'm not hating on the organization. I'm just trying to be realistic about that expectation. But this is where the Browns are right now. Is we're having to pick apart Arch Manning. This poor kid's 21 years old. Again, he's doing the NAL. He's got the commercials. So with the commercials and all that, and the notoriety comes the expectation. But he's going to grow into that. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a star at Texas. I have no doubts about that. But I'm watching that game yesterday, I'm conflicted because I'm a Buckeye fan, and I wanted him to have a terrible day. But at the same time, I'm like, give me something he threw the touchdown pass. I'm like, all right, there's a little something there. Okay, we like that. Okay, that not great from the Buckeyes, but for the Browns, that could be good. I like the way he bounced back from that, poor first half. The good signs there. I'm looking for little things because I'm looking at through the lens of the Browns and what they need and where they're at. And, seeing everyone stalking Jimmy Haslam right now, and everywhere he's, flying around the country. First of all, Jimmy Haslam's a big college football fan.
Right.
So, that's also part of it. It's great to be an owner of an NFL team, be a college football fan. You basically get into any game you want to get into.
And there are 10 other positions, on
right.
both
but he's
sides of the football.
He's focused on the quarterback. And my whole point is, okay, he gave you Johnny Manziel. He gave you Deshaun Watson. He gave you Hugh Jackson. Okay? This is not a man that I want picking the Browns franchise quarterback. This is a man that I want signing the paychecks.
Daryl, let me ask you this, and this is an uncomfortable question to ask before the season even starts, and I understand that. Do you think he's taking these fact-finding missions personally himself because he's unsure if Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are even going to be the guys that are writing the names on the cards in the 2026 NFL draft? That was kind of the first thing that ran through my head.
No, because he's always done this. This is not abnormal behavior for him. This is normal behavior for him. And look, God bless him. Look, if I had his kind of money, I'd be doing the same thing.
Me too.
Not going to lie. I can't be a hypocrite. If I had his money and my own jet, I would,
and my own team, and I'm going to, and my guys are going to check. I do agree with that.
I'd be flying all over the country. But here's the thing: the one thing I'd leave it to the people I hired to make the decision, to make the evaluations. That's my thing. Just stay out of the process. Go be a fan. That's it. Just go be a fan. Don't be on some fact-finding mission, though. That's what makes me nervous. Because, again, you gave me Johnny Manziel. I knew Johnny Manziel was a train wreck, okay? Because I had heard the stories coming out of Texas. I already knew it was the moment they traded up and they announced it was Johnny Manziel, I forget who I was saying. I turned and I go, you realize what we're in for. This is going to be an unmitigated disaster of epic proportions because they're going to act like this guy's the franchise savior, and this guy's got some real problems in life that he has to deal with. And he's expected to be the franchise savior. And he was still dealing with those problems to his own admission.
Right.
In documentaries and interviews in between his bashing of Cleveland.
Right.
And the depression that Cleveland gave him. But like, you know, Johnny was battling those demons when he was here, and it showed on the field. And it also showed with how quickly they moved on from him. But like, yeah, you made that determination that that guy was fit for your franchise. You're done making decisions about who the quarterback is. Once you go down that road, you're done. But you're desperate. And Jimmy and the Haslam family are desperate to win at any and all costs. You know, we can criticize the results. We can criticize, you know, the record. And they want to win. Trust me. They spend a ton of money to lose. They spend a ton, an ungodly sum. They spend money we wish the Guardians would spend to win, right?
They had the most expensive roster in football last year, won 3 games.
And won 3 games. They paid over $100 million per victory last year. Think about that, okay? So, like, I'm not...
Wins are getting more expensive every year.
They really do want to win. They really do want to provide fans with a quality product, okay? And I can't stress that enough. And that's not me carrying water for them. That's the honest to goodness truth.
For sure. You don't spend you don't become the highest payroll in the National Football League if you don't desperately want to, but then also believe that you're going to be a good team.
They put their money where their mouth is, okay? But what I don't want to have happen is that Jimmy Haslam has any say in who the quarterback's going to be. I can't. I can't. And again, that's no disrespect towards him, but your track record's your track record, okay? And I've had enough at this point. That's just where I'm at. Go watch college football this year. Have fun. Let Andrew Berry in the front office leave the evaluating process to those guys, okay? Leave it to if you really trust and believe in them, leave it to them. That's their job. And then guess what? If they don't do their job, you get to fire them. Okay, so you got to pay their severance too, but you do get to fire them, which they've not been hesitant to do at all in the past. But leave it to those folks to make the determination. Fly around the country, watch all these games, be entertained. Absolutely. Stay out of the evaluation process. Underlined, bold print, infinity number of exclamation points.